broad, Coven. I'm looking forward to dropping in with you today for this download. It's coming in kind of spicy, but I feel pretty mischievous with the energy myself. I don't know how everybody else will feel about it. I know that I've heard a lot of people kind of talking in tarot land about noticing there's been a little shifting of energy. Well, that's because we just had Pluto go retrograde in Aquarius on May 2nd. And that retrograde motion is going to continue because it's a very slow backslide when we're looking at Pluto, all right? That retrograde motion is going to be going down clear through October 11th when it goes direct in Capricorn. Now, just in case you don't remember what that's all about, do be mindful that 2008 through 2023, Pluto spent most of its time retrograding in Capricorn. So we're not out of the woods yet, man. Just when you thought you were in the clear, here comes Hades, good old Hades with the checkmate. The Lord of the underworld is stirring once more. That's what that subterranean influence I kept feeling was. I knew it was coming up for some reason. I knew it. Dang. I thought we'd dive into it a little bit. It is going to kick off a reading series, all right, because I really want to get back at looking at the astrological transits, what's going on there. It has such an influence in how things roll out in our day-to-day 3D reality. It also lets us know a lot about our inner cosmology, our spiritual journey, all of that, okay? So I'm going to be kicking off a sign read for individual signs for Pluto retrograde. Oh, look at that. See, don't be so scared. You've done this dance before. You know the sun returns, okay? It might get dark for a little bit here, but remember, in darkness, there's always light. So, you know, I've been feeling this energy. I'm like, no. It's got that ... to be continued energy, okay? So currently, you know, we're retrograde motion with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, which means it's going down in that 11th house. And we're looking at areas that are being affected in terms of the World Wide Web. We're looking at matters of security in terms of surveillance, okay? Distortions in that regard, for sure, with the retrograde energy going on there. Matters of privacy, because we look at that house of the 11th house, and we're looking at matters of, you know, the social circle, the community as a whole, and the networks, you know. And so we really have a lot going on right now. Ooh, oh my goodness. I don't know if you saw how that happened. Okay, hello, Hierophant. We're starting already. Oh my goodness. Oh yes, we got the heavy hitters here. All right, so I feel like a lot of this is going down in terms of surveillance, right? How we're going to start seeing shifting in technology, the way technology is used, all right, to gain a certain stronghold, okay? Watch for more of this to roll out with the Hierophant coming in with the Emperor there. Pretty wild the way that's split. What do we got with the Emperor? We got the Empress. I'm sorry. Well, we will eventually once this Hierophant gets out of the way. Gotta get through the red tape before we get to the Empress, okay? Maybe that's why the Empress ain't feeling it right now. Empress is kind of in this 3 of Swords energy. When do we get to do the victory lap, man? Okay? Emperor's over here on the other side of this split saying, hold up, we just got to get through this retro Aquarius motion first before we get to that sun. I love that, how that sun opened up. Okay, beautiful tie-in. There's no accidents there. All right. Yeah, we haven't gotten the memo yet, though. That Page of Wands was in reverse there, right? So fire's a little snuffed out right now. Don't worry, it'll get lit again. It'll get lit as we do that dive down to hell in a handbasket collectively, all right? So what's going on when we got this Pluto retrograde energy? I mean, like I said, it was retrograde in Capricorn for most of 2008 through 2023. You all know what the last few years have been like. It's been pretty freaking intense, okay? So we know that we're going to be revisiting that energy. Right now it's going down in Aquarius, right? So it's going to be affecting more of those areas, more of the areas around your network, more about your friendship circles, your community, and matters of the larger community, especially in terms of the World Wide Web and looking at the shadow side of that. Okay, so we're definitely looking at more kind of like surveillance energy. Ooh, blockage wanted to come in around that. Surveillance energy. We're also looking at monitoring in other forms. We're also looking at breakdowns, blockages, especially in terms of communication, things lost in translation. We're also looking at the piece of security breaches in terms of data breaches, okay? This kind of energy coming forward very strongly, but we know that we'll be affected in our community and our social circles, and I'm going to break down in this download with you all how each of the signs are going to be affected, what house it's going to be going down for them. We won't go into a lot of details about that because I'm going to kick off a reading series for each individual sign where we'll go really deep about how this transit will affect you, because it's an important one, right? You know, when we're looking at Pluto, Pluto is associated with Hades, which is why I'm bringing in all that reference. But it's the planet that's also connected to the cycles of life, death, rebirth, and then regeneration, renewal. It's very much in alignment with that Phoenix rising energy. But right now, collectively, we're being asked to take it a little bit more to that vermilion bird level, you know, where we're not just transcending the earthly matters, you know, and seeing the transformation in our day-to-day life, which is all grand and all good. But this is about getting a different perspective from more of a cosmic level, right? From more of an involved level, a conscious level. So do look for this energy to really be mounting, okay? And as it's mounting, that's leading me to a whole other download I got coming in later this week. We got a new reality tunnel that's being set, and it's quite wild. So to be continued. I don't want to get sidetracked here, okay? So, you know, it's very interesting because this energy is, you know, it's constructive, it's productive, it's meant to help you kind of like overcome the things that keep you held back from activating your highest potential. But it's not fun, you know, when you're moving through it. It can be pretty rough. And what are we looking at moving through? Well, we're looking at moving through the shadow, right? We're looking at unraveling our BS, our belief systems, our habitual patterns of behavior that come from unhealthy places, unhealed places within ourselves, psychological blocks or loops that just send us down an endless downward spiral and make it hard for us to elevate. Trauma patterns, deep emotional wounds that still need tending because the proper space hasn't been held around them. And so it's, you know, it's rough, it's tough love, it's not easy business here, but the way that Pluto operates is that it delivers towers repeatedly, towers that will kind of call you to rise to the challenge and will spark the growth you need in your life to overcome issues like power struggles, matters where somebody has to have all the control. Of course, with that Hierophant energy that came in, that can certainly be of the authoritarian variety, the higher echelons, okay? You know, all of these sort of groups at the top tier that say how things roll out, say how they go, well, at least for now. We do have the age of Aquarius rumbling too subterraneanly, and that's part of why we have to go through this collectively. Collectively is how we rise, right? Or not. We can continue to focus on the individual, and that's how we'll take a great fall, just like Humpty Dumpty. And none of the king's horses or none of the king's men will be able to put us back together again, and there will be no moving forward with the 8 of Wands in reverse, okay? We'll just come to a grinding halt, and then it'll be the undoing of us. But I have more faith in us. I think that a lot of people are starting to really become alive to the need to expand and move into greater growth, okay? So when we're looking at issues of Pluto, when it's in its forward motion, like if you have a difficult aspect in your chart, let's say a square, you know, something that makes it a challenger, a real challenger on your path when you're going through a transit with Pluto, we're looking at things like power struggles and nefarious dealings, you know, conspiracy theories, things that are happening in the dark, okay? The need to grasp for control, greed, all of this kind of energy. When it's external, when it's in its forward motion, you see it more in your day-to-day reality, like through your relationships and the experiences you're having. But when it's retrograde, it's more internal. So it's the places where you're in a power struggle with yourself between who you are becoming and who you are releasing, you know? We really do have to release old versions of ourselves as we grow. People negate that part of the process, you know? We always think about the endings we experience with other people and the way that really rocks us and shakes us, but very rarely do people consider how intense it is when you have to let go of an old version of yourself, you know, an old story, an old identity. It really can rock you, man. It can be very destabilizing. And sometimes that can cause us to want to cling to our safe spaces, even though we know they're unhealthy. Yeah, interesting how that came out right there. We have the Fool here. It's like it's a call to step into that age of Aquarius, which is all about the expansion, really activating our North Node, having more freedom, having more optimism as well, you know, being more open to a spirit of adventure and inspiration and experimentation, broadening the mind, broadening the horizons, all of that, okay? And this is what's on offer, but it's interesting because 2 of the cards came out face down crossing. What are we looking at here? Yes, how do we accept the new beginning? How do we accept that when we still are so invested in the past, in the way things were? Right? This is big challenge. Earth sign energy coming out here. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This is also that pre-empress, pre-emperor energy before we really move out of the South Node, activate the North Node. It's about where we're investing our energy. Are we investing our energy in the past, or are we really open to this new adventure? Right? You got those hounds of hell nipping at your heels. Not so fast, bud. It's not time to take that leap quite yet. There's a little review here, okay? A little review here. Got to have Hades put you in check, show you your blind spots, you know? So this is really like looking at the parts of you that are at war with yourself, you know, where you're divided, where you're, you know, of one mind about one thing, but then your heart's telling you another. You feel pulled in both directions, and so you feel kind of torn apart at the seams, and instead you do nothing. You know, you do nothing, which we know will change, all right? Because when we got that retrograde motion going, as it continues to go backwards, it ends up in Capricorn, where it was, you know, all through that summertime and, you know, the tail end of last year. I mean, we really went through some stuff, man. And this is a bit of a revisitation with those energies, and you may find some of those same dramas, some of those same struggles coming up internally right now. Do be prepared, because there may be actual work to be done with certain characters that factor into those dramas once we hit the fall on October 11th and we have Pluto go direct in Capricorn. Because remember, Capricorn and Pluto, it's all about get on your boots, it's time to do the work. And that's when you actually see it more externalized, these themes externalized. Now, the goal is, you know, you do this work. You do all the work. You notice the places where you're clinging. You notice the places where you're greedy, you know, where you want more than your share, where you don't care what's in the best interest for the collective. It's all about you. You notice the places where you're having a hard time letting go. You notice the places where you're keeping things hidden. I love that came out there. Keeping things hidden in the dark, the secrets you keep, and the way those are ruling over you. Yes, we're entering a learning cycle here. There is something to learn here. School's in session. We're all about to be schooled. Again, first sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Okay? This is about us. It is about us, okay? It's not about anybody else. It's about you and your shadow. It's all about what's going on inside of you, all right? So this is going to be a time when you're going to be grappling with a lot of stuff that it would be really easy to sort of say, oh, well, that's because of them. That's about them. No, 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 no. It's all about you right now, okay? Because this struggle is internal at this time. These control issues are internal. These quests to hold all the power, it's internal. The nefarious dealings, they're coming from your inner saboteur at this time, you know, and it'll be varying degrees, you know, for everybody, just depending on how much you really have been doing the work. If you've been doing the work, you know, you may be finding it quite, you know, easy and more of a time of just really integrating the experiences you went through, starting to have more of a clear view about your role as opposed to looking at it through the eyes of what the others were doing. All right. So consider it more of a reflective time. And Ted agrees with that. All right. But there's ways that we can trip ourselves up. And especially because what's on offer when we're looking at this energy of renewal, what's on offer is the growth. What's on offer is the material reward, is the material success. It's not just a success that you kind of like, oh, pat yourself on the back, like, oh, I did pretty good back there, you know. I did a good job, you know. I weathered the storms. I didn't act too out of pocket. I feel pretty good about how I handled that. No, this is you actually get to see the reward of the work, you know. Yes, it comes from internal growth and wisdom learned and self-mastery, you know, the alchemist's true gold, you know, that philosopher's stone. But it also comes in seeing that expansion reflected in your external reality, because that's how it works. You level up within, you level up in your day-to-day life. You know, the more you stay stuck, the more you find stagnancy in your life, the more you find dead ends, the more you find challenges. To move into this flow, okay, of this 9 of Pentacles where you're independently abundant, flourishing, healthy, radiant, just living good, right? Just living good, enjoying life, appreciating life. That's a real key with this too, okay? Really appreciating life, seeing how it can be a garden of earthly delight. There's pleasures on offer here. There's hedonism on offer here. There is personal power on offer here, even as we learn how to hold our personal power in balance with the power of the collective, right? It's about sharing that power, and sharing that power in such a way that it sparks radical transformation when we're looking at it from more of a global perspective. All right. More on that as we continue to progress, you know, down this road. I'm sure there'll be a lot of downloads coming in around this. This is a very important cycle that we're going to be moving into here. So we're just getting started. But just to kind of like touch base on that a little bit, I will be bringing back in the revolution reports because I feel like they're important and they're very essential for the collective at this time, just so we can make best use of it. But again, you see here, if we continue to make it about the other at this time, all right, then we stay stuck. Then power rules over us because we've given our power away. But if we focus on ourselves at this time, our own piece of that puzzle, of that greater picture, if we look at the ways that we have power struggles within ourselves, where we feel like we need to control things, where we need to have a certain framework around outcomes, and it can only fit our picture. The ways that we sabotage ourselves, lie to ourselves, deny our intuition, and cause problems in our life. This is all about us reflecting on ourselves. That's where the growth is, okay? That's where the growth is. Now is not the time to blame other people or to continue to look at what other people did, but to look in the mirror, because quite actually, it does factor in so strongly for what your outer reality is going to look like come this fall, once we go direct in Capricorn on October 11th, okay? It's going to have a lot to tell you about what work will remain to be done. Are you going to continue to, you know, have Hades on your tail? Are you going to be, you know, bound up by your past still and have to go through another round of the work? Or are you going to be here celebrating your harvest and your rewards? It's up to you, all right? This is about really heading into those more shadowy aspects of yourself at this time, to accept that you don't know everything. There still is more to learn. There's a reason why we're going through these learning cycles. This is happening internally, psychologically, emotionally, and intuitively. And let me tell you, if you don't hold the space for it and get grounded in this work and take that focus off other people, it can come through distorted in the form of paranoia. All right? So really get grounded in for this work. Be prepared for it. We're all in it together, all right? Nobody's being picked on here. Some of the signs have it in more challenging houses, I have to say, okay? And I'll go through that, you know, in a minute here. But, you know, hopefully you've been doing the work. Hopefully you face this head on and you don't sweep things under the rug. And if you do that, you know, you're going to enter a new, more empowered headspace that's going to allow you to step forward in the fall into that harvest, right? And that's worth taking a stand for, okay? So maybe, you know, block out some time to stop fending off the so-called enemies in the outer world and start looking at the way that you're actually blocking all these new powerful moments of activation to come in your life to set you down a new course, okay? We got here Queen of Swords. Oh, I love the way it came out though. Do you see this? This Queen of Swords is putting sorrow behind her. I love this imagery here. No, we don't need to look at that anymore. Do you see? Look at that. The Libra South Node is showing you the way forward. You got to put the heartache behind you. This is what gets things moving. This is about being in alignment with truth. And do you notice how she's just like, ooh, ooh, that was the Three of Swords, just like landing face down like that. She's like Come on, bring it on. I'm ready for the future. Come on, Hades, what you got? What you got? I know the soonest that I'm able to just embrace whatever else needs to be integrated, the soonest I am able to just, allow myself to, deal with any uncomfortable bits, look at those places within myself, maybe, even allow yourself to process some of the stuff you didn't get to process. Maybe you had to go on autopilot. I don't know. I've been finding I've been needing that a little bit more myself lately. Just moments where I can just like drop in and get in touch with what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. I've been doing a lot of integration work, and I really feel like if you have been on it, that's probably how it's going to influence you at this time. You're going to be integrating the experiences of last fall. But I feel like something will show up on the scene in the fall that will externalize, if not with those same characters that you were dealing with back in the fall of 2023, certainly similar themes. Is kind of like, okay, now you got a chance to take your final. Are you gonna pass the test? That was just midterms back there. You thought we were done? We're not done. That was just midterms, okay? Libra energy really strong here, pointing the way forward, okay? Live by your truth, okay? Stand by your truth, act from your truth. This is also about being receptive to communication, right? By first being in alignment with yourself and letting go of your BS, letting go of the wounding that you're holding on to, letting go of the need to feel sorry for yourself about it, letting go of the need to continue to grieve about it. You do have to approach this in your own time, and there is no real like times up on a grieving process. But sometimes if you've been going through a grieving process that's really starting to have a damaging effect on your life because everything is just kind of left undone, everything is spiraling out of control, or everything is being swept under the rug, there does have to come a point when you move into that more stoic, sort of steely kind of energy, all right? Work with the Plutonian energy a little bit and say, okay, I got to just face this squarely. Enough of that. I understand it hurts. Maybe you create little space within your day, to let yourself feel sorry for yourself, or let yourself cry it out, or let yourself be angry or focus on it. But in some way, you have to compartmentalize it and allow yourself to start to open up to moving forward and taking charge, step by step, okay? If it's something that is starting to really hold you back, it's time to act from a place of just accepting what happened and take any step you can to get back into the flow of your life. Because I know there are some people that do feel really stuck, right? That's the way forward, though. Okay, so there are a couple important transits going on that I do want you to maybe note, set a little memo in your phone, circle it on a calendar if you got a calendar, that relate to Pluto. We got on June 2nd, Jupiter will be moving through Gemini, and it's going to form a trine with Pluto, which is a positive effect, okay? But consider it like a magnifying glass, okay? So this is a time when you can actually get a lot of clear communication coming from your intuition, coming from your psychology, coming from your subconscious, that can really illuminate where things have been creating the blockages, and maybe even the best way to handle communications. Also, how to get to a position where you can feel more integrated and less divided. I think of that Gemini energy. Sometimes it can be a feeling of being kind of divided within the self. So with this trine forming with Pluto, it really does give you an opportunity to get on the same page with yourself. Forget about with another. Start with yourself. Mind, body, spirit on the same page. Okay, I'm in alignment now. I understand ways I haven't been listening to my intuition. I understand ways that I haven't been paying attention to those dreams and what they've been telling me. I notice the ways that I have, you know, misinterpreted certain communications, or maybe ways that I didn't communicate with clarity. Yeah, and maybe there's some kind of confusion that resulted from this, and this is what needs to be resolved and balanced out. But before it can happen externally, it has to happen internally. You got to get on board with your intuition. This is a bit of the alchemy work. The moon is also about inner illumination. It's about the deep psychological stuff. It's about making the subconscious conscious. It's also about tapping into the intuition and learning through the study of archetypal imagery. All right, it is messages that come through dreams. It is downloads. And we got this energy here that's about, you know, finding that balance, balancing things out, doing the inner alchemy work, achieving that philosopher's stone, right? The true goal that turns your life into a thing where, you know, you got the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to gold because, you know, it's who you are. You've refined yourself. That's the way it happens, right? That's what's on offer. You have to excuse me. I'm telling you, the pollen has been really crazy here. And no matter how much I try to prepare myself, it's still like my throat gets raspy right now. It's part of the reason I took a break yesterday. I just needed some time to let my voice rest too, you know. So yes, magnifying glass effect is a time when you can get a lot of clarity. So June 2nd, that's an important date for this Pluto transit. With Pluto retrograde going down there. And that can be very helpful too, because at that time it's still going to be retrograde in Aquarius. So it can benefit you greatly, especially in terms of your communications with others, communications with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your community, communications online, you know, all of that. Anywhere where there's been any kind of disruptions on those levels, it can help you really understand where things are awry and what your piece is in that, what you can do about it. And so this is very beneficial. Okay, it allows you to tweak things a little bit. Okay, and then the other date is on July 21st. Right, and that's when we're going to have Mars trine Pluto, right? And this is going to be like the ignition time, okay? So whatever you learn from that Jupiter in Gemini, you know, forming a trine with Pluto on June 2nd, whatever you learn through that particular transit, you have an opportunity to really activate it by taking an action, you know, using that wand of the magician to, you know, abracadabra it, you know what I'm saying? Maybe some of you will be doing that. I don't know, you know. I'd play it cautionary if I were you. Just the way with this transit rolling out, you know, if you remember how things went last year, and yeah, we do look at the occult with these matters too when we're looking at Pluto. I mean, naturally, you know, there is an occult influence. There's a lot of that 8th house energy in the mix, you know. It's all that. It's the secretive, it's the confidential, it's the hidden, it's the things done in the dark, it's the deals made in the dark, it's dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight, it's sex, lies, and drugs, okay? It's all of that energy. And it most certainly also deals with the occult, all right? So this is also a time when, okay, it came in. So maybe it's also time to do a little review in that regard if you're on that path, you know. I also want you to think of the ways that your words cast spells, okay, because sometimes people get a little high and mighty. Oh, I don't do spell work. Oh, but there's ways that people cast spells, the ways that they communicate, the ways that they gossip, all right? the ways they participate in certain social activities that certainly weave a glamour and can negatively impact others' lives. Okay, so this is also the time to maybe look at those things as well. What kind of spells have you cast? What role have you played? How have you used your power? Now, if you're on that path of the alchemist and you do workings, you know, this is time to kind of have a review. Are you wielding your power wisely? Are you walking your path with integrity? You know, or are you caught up with that power victory at any cost? Well, now may be the time when you're starting to really notice the cracks in the facade and recognizing that at the end of the day, it's just all our energy that we put out there. It always comes home to roost. And when we're looking at matters of such heavy duty North Node, South Node action going on, Libra in the South Node, Aries in the North Node, we are looking at like high stakes. So this is about having a lot of consciousness. And if you are, you know, feeling like you maybe want to correct things in that regard because you're hell-bent on getting some kind of revenge or making somebody pay or anything like this, or if that's even where your thoughts are fixated, then I have to tell you, it's going to be a rough road to hoe, man. Ugh, yeah, it's going to be a rough road to hoe. Because you're going to find like there will be an impotency there with your, I can't even say it, impotency. It needs to be emphasized, man, okay? There won't be any juju to work with, man. It'll be snuffed out. You know, that's what happens. If you misuse power, eventually power is stripped from you. You know, there's a certain earning of power and the right to hold power in terms of alchemical gifts. Okay, so when you misuse power, you find that your powers get snuffed out until you can, you know, refine what led you down that rabbit hole and put you in a position where you had to learn that lesson in the first place. Okay, so do be on the lookout for that. All right, the signs that will be the most affected in this retrograde cycle will be the fixed signs. All right, so Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius will really be feeling this. And then if you're curious, because we all have transits in our chart and all that jazz, there are signs that will feel it more than others. And this is if your sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Mars, or Venus is 0 to 2 degrees of any fixed sign in your chart. Okay, so we got, you know, the big 6 there: sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Mars, Venus. 0 to 2 degrees of any of those fixed signs. 0 to 2 degrees of Scorpio, okay, of Aquarius, Taurus, or Leo. You're really going to feel it acutely. All right, let's go ahead and just run down what each of the signs are going to be dealing with in terms of the house that they're going to have this transit going down in their chart. We got Aries, the 11th house. Okay, it's going to start out in the 11th house. So right now, Aries is kind of like processing stuff that's going on in the 11th house in terms of networks and their social contacts and just their community as a whole, the World Wide Web. They're dealing with that internally. And then they will externalize it in the fall when it goes direct in Capricorn in their 10th house, which will be all about their I almost went to say, so this must be what it is. I went to say rebranding. Okay. So in the rebranding, all right, maybe changing public opinion, getting a new face, to present to the world, okay? This could be through glow up energy. There's a lot of different ways this can be seen. But it will be more externalized at that point and evident, you know, what they process. But this is a transformation kind of energy, or it could go really south. You see what I mean? It could go really south if you abandon that. We do have to remember Aries is in the North Node, so all of us got this action going on a little bit, which is why I'm going into a little more detail, right? I'm not going to do that with each of the signs here, okay? But I'll do it with Aries and Libra, since they're North Node, South Node polarities right now, and it does factor into the collective. So, you know, definitely we'll all feel this, you know. We all need to really look at the way that we're using technology, the way that we're using the World Wide Web, the way we're interacting in our community, the way we're interacting with each other, all right? What's going down with our friendship circles and what that's reflecting to us, all right? Internally, what piece are we holding in that? Very important. Are we part of the expansion, okay? Or are we part of what is holding everything back? We got to acknowledge the places where we're too fixed within ourselves. And then we will really be externalizing that in the fall when Pluto goes direct in Capricorn on October 10th, okay? Then that's when we'll really be like living it. We'll be the face of that, what we've come to discover during that time, and we'll be representing that for the world to see, so to speak, online, in our communities, in our friendships, in our connections, okay? Taurus is going to have it going down in their 10th house, which is, you know, the house that's all about public image, branding, all that stuff we just went into. And it will be going direct in their 9th house, which is the house of Sagittarius, and it's all about expansion, having a more philosophical view, you know, also more optimism, okay? And then Gemini is having it go down in their 9th house, that house of expansion, all right? And also going direct in their 8th house, all right? So some big stuff coming in for Gemini in terms of choices to make, decisions to make, outing things in some cases. We'll get into that more when we do Gemini's personal, all right? Cancer, it will be going down in their 8th house predominantly, and then going direct in their 7th, in their house of relationships, mergers, marriages, also open enemies, okay? So that could get a little interesting for Cancers there too, I have to say. Leo's got it going down in their 7th house, that house of love and marriage and open enemies, all right? See, but let's look at that, okay? But for Leo, it's about them really looking at, how have I encouraged that? How have I encouraged the hostility in terms of enemies? How have I played a role in what's going awry in my relationships? You know, what's my responsibility in that? How have I sabotaged relationships? All right. That can be a way to look at it rather than looking at the other. It's really getting deep. It's getting into the boo-boos a little bit and really looking at, how did I play a part in that, okay? And then it'll be going direct in your 6th house, Leo, which is all about work, routine, you know, the brass tacks. Virgo, it'll be going down in the 6th house. And then it will be going forward in your 5th house, love and pleasure, all right? So I see this as being fun for you when it comes time for, you know, things go direct in Capricorn on October 11th with this transit. I really see you heading into a lighter, brighter time in your life, all right? Right now it might be a little rough, okay? You might really be slogging through it, but I just want to give Virgos a little bit of that hope, because they got some challenging aspects with that particular placement there, okay? Libra, it's going down in your 5th house. Romance, pleasure, fun, let your hair down and don't we know it? Ooh, and how can that get us into trouble sometimes? How can our desire to just like, throw caution to the wind sort of set us up for some issues, okay? And then it'll be going direct in her fourth house, which is all about home, family, belonging, root cellar stuff. So, you know, this can also show you ways that you can be the one who breaks those generational curses. You know what I'm saying? You can break a pattern that's been occurring in your bloodline for eons, you know, by really applying what you've learned through this cycle, right? This is about things really coming to fruition in terms of feeling at home, all right? Feeling at home within yourself, feeling at home within your relationships. Also, externally, your home. Like, where are you going to be living, Libra? What's that look like? How does that feel? Okay. We'll get into that more when that reading comes in. Scorpio, it's going down in your fourth house of home. All right. And it will be going direct in your third house of communication. Okay. So you see how it can play in with each other. You know, whatever's going on at home right now that you're sorting through, it's very personal for you. You are a fixed sign. So you're really going to be looking at this like, how do I just get back to really just feeling like myself, right? And then I think it's beautiful because then you get to like bring your voice forward and you get to open up lines of communication around that, lines of communication around belonging, all of that, you know, once you head into the fall. And, you know, maybe even cohabitating in some cases if you've been dealing with challenges on that level. Your energy is very front and center, of course, Scorpio, with this cycle because Pluto is one of your rulers and there's a lot of Mars action going on too. So, you know, Scorpio's still really feeling these cycles we're moving through here. All right. Sagittarius, you got it going down in the third house of communication. And by the fall on October 11th, it will be going forward in your second house, right? What you value, all right? What you value at the end of the day, what you stand on at the end of the day, what you invest in, how you feel about yourself, okay? And growth and finances, all that action, okay? Capricorn, it's going down in your second house. And when it moves forward, it will be in your first house, all right? And you're already pretty familiar with this terrain. You already experienced this. You've had Pluto in your house. You know how that goes, but it will be direct, and you've already went through this cycle too. So for you, it has the propensity to be super empowering. And if you've already felt the empowerment of it, it's only going to be kicked up a notch, okay? So I really see that as a point of arrival, big launch off for you Capricorns who've done the work, you know, and you already know what you're working with here, so to speak. So you got an advantage in that respect, okay? Aquarius, you already know what the story is. It's in your first house right now. It's personal, man. It's really personal. And you're also, you know, a fixed sign. So you're experiencing just tremendous transformation in your life. Like your life ain't gonna look the same at all, okay, by the time you're through with this. You may be feeling like for worse right now. Please don't look at it like that, all right? You're leading the charge really for moving into the expansion for the whole collective. So, you know, heavy is the head. Just be patient, man. You will get to the other side of it. It goes direct in your 12th house, all right? So huge transformational time for you. Big transformational time for you. But once it goes direct in that 12th house, I really feel like you're going to be in this process of just, you know, finally, you know, integrating everything that went down. You're going to balance out those karmic scales, right? And then it'll be going direct for you too. And that's when you get to move back into that spirit of expansion, all right, which is good, is good. Pisces, right now, it's in your 12th house. It's all about that hangman energy. That's where it's at. And now I really understand why hangman has been coming out so freaking much, why the moon has been coming out so much, why the high priestess has been coming out so much in reads. It's because right now freaking Pluto is in the 12th house of Pisces retrograde. You know, that's how Pisces is experiencing it. It makes a lot of sense. You know, we have to understand when we're looking at, these kind of transits, it's really affecting all of us. I mean, we have all of these signs within us. So we're in such a heavy karmic cycle as it is, just because Libra's at the south node weighing everything up. So yeah, Pisces, it's really personal for you too. You're weighing up a lot of karma, but right now it's about really looking at your karmic work, and really paying attention to that. Since, oh, look at that, I didn't even know it's on attack the moon. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's the deep dive for Pisces right now. This is about seeing the hidden enemy within. When we look at that 12th house, it's about hidden enemies. But in this cycle, it's really about not externalizing that enemy. It's about looking at, how am I playing that role? How am I sabotaging myself and maybe others? Okay. So a lot of karmic balancing happening there. And then in the fall, it goes direct in Capricorn in your 11th house, Pisces, which is about you representing, what you've learned during that time externally, online, within your networks, within your community, your social circle. Okay. So a lot going down, man. A lot going down. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Just be prepared. Okay. Because anytime we get a little too close to the bone and what we're feeling, whatever we've been externalizing and projecting on others, when we start to really get down to the truth of it, that somewhere in there, it's speaking to a part of us that we haven't been really willing to look at, right? This isn't for the faint of heart. This is really deeply intense work, but it's the real stuff, man. Like, stop viewing it as such a bad thing. It's the mana, like all of your gifts, all of your empowerments, all of your strength, all of your transformation, all of your activation. Everything you want is through like diving down deep into this mucky soul suit. And now it makes sense to me why the Stone of Destiny downloads like, nope, put that off, put that off, put that off. It's been bugging me because I'm like, well, we left off at the Cauldron of Dagda, and it didn't go forward. It didn't go forward to the next one. I tried to introduce it. The timing just wasn't right. And it never synced up. It didn't feel right. And now I get it. I get it, because we're not out of the Cauldron of Dagda yet. We're just not. We're just in this process of still healing and integrating and trying to come into this place of collective synergy. So it makes so much sense now, okay? But this is that energy, it's the glamour we cast. It's that hull of mirrors. It's the way we get lost in all of the deflection. Okay, we think it's about all this stuff outside of us, but it's not. What we can't see is it's all within. Notice it's an Ace of Cups that has that hidden element. The Ace of Cups is all about you. It's what's going on inside of you. That's what's casting the glamour outside of you. That's what's got you caught up. You think it's attached to other people. It's not. It's what you've pulled in. It's what you've harmonized with. Once you start harmonizing with a different frequency, what you see out there isn't going to be the same. And again, we'll get more deeply into that stuff, but I just wanted to touch on this, okay? Because we're going to be traveling through this energy together for a hot minute until October 11th. And even then, I'm sure more will come in at that time. It'll be a very, climactic close to the ear. Not anticlimactic. No, I feel it's going to be quite opposite, okay? Ooh! Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, look at this energy. This is what's crossing. This is what's crossing the Seven of Cups. This is what was crossing. We got the World. There's all those fixed signs. Look, the new way does open. The way of the Fool opens at 0 point. But like the Ouroboros, we have to digest the old cycle and the old karmas before the new cycle can begin. We got Aquarius there, Scorpio there, Taurus there, Leo there. And on the other side, we got, you know, that blockbuster energy. Once we break on through to the other side, we move beyond the illusion. We move to the activation of that Two of Wands energy there, where it's like now we can see the way through to the other side. We actually see another side, right? And this balances out that south node, the south node of Libra that we got going down right now. And I love this, the way that actually that Scorpio energy of death came in here, because it does play a role. You got to remember, Scorpio's been at the forefront for a long time. Scorpio has had an influence on Libra, in fact, for a long time too. Libra's been doing the Pluto dance for a long time, very deeply. They got a little bit of a jump start on it, right? And, you know, this is a cycle. It goes all the way back, you know, to 2008 to, you know, where we are now, 2024, okay? So this is a really important cycle we're closing up here. And the old is going to go. It is, you know. The only thing that's kept it alive is our belief to it, our adherence to it, holding on to it, nurturing it, you know. We've been moving through the dark. And we have been moving through the dark ages. We've been moving through the age of the Kali Yuga. That's what it's about. It's the dark age. It's the age of ignorance. It's the age of greed, apathy. It's the age of control and power struggles and all of these themes. All right. We're in very transformational times here, but we're about to break on through to the other side. So I love how this came out here. But if you really think about when Scorpio was in the South Node, you know, we really have to integrate that. So Scorpio's was in the South Node. Let's see here. Yeah, they were in the South Node position starting in the summer of 2021. Okay. That's a big karmic cycle here that we're closing up. We're all going to be feeling it really intensely. So just kind of look back at that time period, just that alone, that's a lot. But when you bring in this influence going all the way back to 2008, yeah, this is quite potent work we're doing here. I'm going to go ahead and do a Coven deck to close this up, and then I think I'll get us an overarching theme card here. But look where we land, man, if we do the work. When we work together, right? Oh, beautiful. Do you see what's on the other side here? Why do we resist this? We let so many knives be stuck in our backs resisting this. It's the way we betray ourselves. Just do the work, man. 58:55 on the clock. 13, 10, 1. You know? The change is needed. It's needed. And it brings you everything that you hope for. It's a true building the future, building the way forward collectively. Beautiful energy there. Let me go ahead and just get us an overarching theme card here. Oh, Skull of Light Illumination. This is the illumination point that we're heading into now. The illumination comes through the ending. It comes through the closing of the cycle. Oop. Flew right out of my hands there. Saw a little flash of remember. Okay, so don't forget what you've learned. We'll just do a head of the deck here, see what we get. Dawn, the light after darkness.